little bit about my personal experiences with some of these symptoms. Let's see. Usually following a higher protein intake, or depending on the patient, because it varies from person to person on their tolerance level. And some people can handle very, very little protein, and some people can handle a lot of protein. Like in my group, I've learned that with children there is a lot smaller of a window, and they monitor children a lot more heavier than they did when I was a teenager. I was allowed 20 grams of protein for the day, and some of these kids are only at like 10 a day. So it really varies person to person. So there is no right or wrong protein intake per person. Some of the classic symptoms are characterized by refusal to eat, being extremely tired, lack of appetite, vomiting, irritability, seizures, some cases diminished muscle tone, respiratory distress, accumulation of fluid in the brain, and an abnormally large liver. Those are some of them. Now, I currently found like all the symptoms overall, and I'm trying to cover all of them. Neurological abnormalities, struggling with this one. Abnormalities include developmental delays, intellectual disability, and cerebral palsy. They may occur and are more severe in infants who are high ammonia levels. Coma for more than 3 days. There is a possibility of having comas and being in them for more than 3 days. I believe I've been in 6 comas. I might be wrong, but I think the number that I remember is 6. We can go into that at another time. And there are spasticity is one which I have. It's the tightening and shortening of the heel cords in the back of the foot. So, like, I've walked on my toes forever. That's just one of the things that you can have. And spasticity also has spasms in the muscle as well. You can have abnormal reflex movements of the foot or ankle. Symptoms may include failure to grow and gain weight at the expected rate. The list is so long, it's hard to cover everything. I've had multiple episodes of high ammonia levels. I've been hospitalized so many times. I remember being very little, going in and out of the hospital for every like Christmas, Easter, birthday, every holiday. I was practically in the hospital. My citrullinemia wasn't really stable until about the age of 15, and that's where things kind of leveled out and started being more stable versus in the hospital dealing with comas, high ammonia levels. My earliest memory that I can remember is 4 years old. I have a few memories. One of them was meeting my doctor. I remember meeting him. I remember the smell of the room. Like, I remember that alcohol smell. Due to the constant brain swelling that I dealt with throughout my childhood, there are some parts that are hard to recall. Some of them, it's harder to recall, while others are more prominent, more easier to recall. After talking to several people, I realized the one thing that seems to be very well known and across the board on where it's helpful at is nobody realizes the medical trauma that people with citrullinemia really endure. Like, heck, I mean, one of the times that I was hospitalized, I couldn't tell you how I got there, who drove me there, what road we took. I couldn't have told you anything. I do remember waking up and having a catheter. And I remember being so mad. And I don't know how common this is, because I don't know many people who can sit there and express how they felt waking up with that. Being a child and dealing with that, you get a sense of violation. And yes, parents can sit there and tell their kids, it was necessary or it had to happen. It's hard to know that had to be done to help you, and to know that it wasn't right, that it shouldn't. Like, that's something that I've struggled with for a very, very, very long time and never talked about. I had a G-tube. I think I had 4. But there's so much that happens. Like, I remember with the high ammonia level, I remember trying to scale the wall to keep my balance, to try to hide that I had a high ammonia level. I remember the feeling of having a high ammonia level. It's like being on a boat with cellophane over your eyes and having that melting feeling that your legs are melting underneath you. It's very hard to describe. It really is. I've tried to explain it to people on what it feels like to try to walk when your balance is off, when your high ammonia level, or when your ammonia level's high and your vision's impaired. That's extremely hard to express. I remember being really tired. That was usually the first sign of, oh no, I'm going to end up into the emergency room or in the hospital again. When the ammonia level is high, it's hard to remember things. That part of the brain, for me, I wonder if that'll fully recover over time, or if that's something that I'll struggle with. I remember seeing videos of me being in the hospital and having my ammonia level being very high. I've heard several stories that I would punch nurses. I've heard stories that I even I ended up kicking a doctor, I think. I've been told a lot of things, and because I can't remember if it actually happened or if this is just a story that's something that I struggle with, I don't know if other people with citrullinemia can express that, can talk about it, and be like as upfront with it. I would love to hear other stories about it. From the YouTube searches that I've done about citrullinemia, there's not a whole lot. There's there's a there's 2 videos that I know for sure about people with citrullinemia. I I don't know how common it is to go 26 years without severe brain damage and still be able to express all of that had happened. It is hard to talk about, but it's something that I feel everybody should know. They say in the article that irritability is a common symptom. My personal feeling on it is that it's not, it's a symptom because people with citrullinemia can't express how they feel about it. Feeling that, you you don't have a say. You don't get to say, this hurts. Please don't do that. You it's harder for people to express that. And I think irritability is the politest way of saying, they're getting mad or upset because of the fact that citrullinemia is not something that they wanted, that they asked for. It was just thrown at them. And they need to act out because they don't know how to handle it. And hit subscribe. You'll be notified. And please, any questions or comments, leave in the comment section below, and I'll answer them in the next video.